Hello everybody and welcome to Arma 3 mission making in 15 minutes or less, and today we're going to be going through the waypoint system. The things that we're going to cover in this kind of tutorial video is going to be just the basics, so how to set up some waypoints, a few of the things that you're going to change on the attributes, how to synchronize your waypoints with some triggers, and how to synchronize your waypoints with each other. And as always, thoroughly recommend getting in game, having a playing around, and doing some exploration yourself after we've kind of gone through the really basics. So let's get started. What have we got in front of us? You can see we've got a couple of vehicles and a couple of patrols. Sorry, a vehicle and a couple of patrols. And what we're going to do is we're going to set up initially a simple patrol route. So one of the most common uses of waypoint systems is just to get these guys walking around an area. They're just going to walk around this little skid pan here. Okay, so to find your waypoints, you're going to go onto the Assets tab, and then it's on Waypoints, funny old thing. Drop down menu, so default, obviously the default one's in here, and I'd thoroughly recommend having a look through and getting familiar with LAM's waypoints. We'll talk about a few of those a bit later on, but for now if we just go into the normal default system, and the one we're looking for is move, and you can see here we get a little green icon, and we can place down a little move, and these guys will now move to that waypoint. Pay note if you want to put down like a lot, so if you press and hold the left control, you can see my little green icon has now got a plus symbol, and I can just drag those around in a big circle wherever I want these guys to go. But what if I want them to keep doing that? What if I want a patrol that's kind of going continuously? Well, if you use the cycle option here, and you can see as I put it down, I can move the cycle option around and it will connect to the nearest waypoint. So let's say I want them to do the whole skid pan, and then I just want them to walk around in a circle for some weird reason just here, then you can do that, or you can connect it to the first one, and around they go. So that's kind of the basics. That's just getting a waypoint system down. There are different things that you can do with the waypoints, but that will get you kind of going around. What else do we need to think about? We need to think about how we want them to move across the environment. So for example, do we want them kind of just bimbling around without paying much attention to their surroundings? Absolutely, because why not? So we change the speed mode of the composition. So this patrol here, limit their speed. We're going to change them staggered column, but we're going to make them aware, which means they're going to walk. They're going to have weapons up, looking around them. We're going to change that from open fire keep formation to open fire, and then they'll start doing that. But let's say for some weird reason I want them to, normal reason, I want them to sprint across the road because there's a hazard. So you can see on the first waypoint where it says combat mode behavior unchanged, and all of these are unchanged. If it goes to this waypoint here, we're going to start them running, and they can stay in stagger column. Behavior can stay aware on combat mode, stay on open fire, and let's just keep them running for a little bit longer just so we can see it. In fact, if I take this one, and this one, so these three are selected, and you can see on the left hand side they're selected here, and do the attributes. I can do all three at one go, so they're going to run. Be aware. You can leave it unchanged and then only change the ones that you want to change. Works perfectly fine. I just tend to be a bit OCD on this kind of things. So now when we get into game, we'll see these guys and they'll just start bimbling, and then they'll start running around here and walk around, and they'll continuously cycle around that until something kicks off. So if there's a contact kicks off or something like that. What else can we do? Well, you can see on the map here some blue lines and some black lines, but if we go over to these guys over here, we've got a reinforcement set up here, and we spoke about that in the triggers tutorial. And we'll go into a bit more detail about how to set up something like that, where you want to get some guys into a vehicle, move them to a location, and do something. So this vehicle here, they're going to move. We're going to put one just in front, and then we're going to put a move down to, let's gamble on the AI pathing being awesome. We're going to move down to here, and we're going to unload, and then we're going to move back. Love my AI pathing. So that vehicle's going to do that. Now these guys, they're going to, in fact, let's just make them on. Not that one, I want this one, and I'm going to make them careless on the off chance that there is some bad guys in sight somewhere. There shouldn't be, but just for simplicity's sake, you guys are going to vehicle get in. And if I bring it over here, you can see it's like a full circle. If I drop it on the vehicle itself, you see the icon changes, and you can probably just about make out, if I can angle it correctly, there we go. You can see it's got those dashed lines around it. So that's linking this these guys here with this vehicle, so we know that's done. And then when they get out, we're going to do just going to move to this building here. In fact, we're going to task garrison. There's a garrison here. Lambs task garrison. I always prefer lambs over anything else, quite frankly. So if I was going to do anything, I'd do that. So they're going to get into there. And we want them to run in there at speed in some diamond formation. And we want them to be aware and open fire. Okay. Now that looks simple enough, doesn't it? Vehicle drives off. These guys get in. Vehicle drive off. However, these guys have got their kind of waypoint, yeah, which is this one here. So they're just going to start driving off straight away. And these guys will be left running, trying to get into the vehicle. So what we need to do is synchronize the move one with the vehicle get in one. So if we right click on the move, you see where it's got connect and set waypoint activation, and now we put it onto vehicle get in. So that move one is synchronized. Once these guys are in, that will trigger them to start using that move icon. What else can we do? Well, let's say that we want the whole thing, or we want to do a reinforcement one like we've got over here. We jump back over to this side. You can see we've got this hold. And then if you follow onto the blue line, you can see in the center there, the waypoint activation is essentially detected by op4, skip waypoint. So these guys are going to hold until the conditions of this trigger is satisfied, which if we go up here is as soon as op4 detects any blue 4 in this area, then there's a whole bunch of activities that will happen. But in this case here, these guys will get onto the helicopter will fly over and drop them out, and you can see their move is synchronized with the guys getting in. So that gives us a way of doing some kind of dynamic reinforcement using the waypoint system and triggers. And this one here is perhaps, maybe just the start of the mission, or maybe you're waiting for them to spawn in. And they're going to jump in, get in the vehicle, and do their thing. What else can we do with the waypoint system? Well, there's a few other little bits and pieces that I wanted to show you about waypoint systems itself. So if we go over to this area over here, we can see that we've got task hunt off the back of a move waypoint. Let's work it all the way back, and again you've got a couple of vehicles. They're on a hold until blue 4 detected. They'll then move into an area, and then they'll do task hunt. What does task hunt do? Well, this is one of the advanced waypoints from LAMs, and essentially it allows them to close in with a playable character. So you can see there's task hunt, task creep, and task rush, and you can see there on the tooltip, rushes players within waypoint completion radius, which is default as 1,000 meters. I've never changed it. To be honest, I wouldn't even know how to change it. I've never looked, because 1K works well for me. Task hunt is kind of, they'll move around a little bit more stealthily, whereas task creep is they'll just creep around on their belt buckle. But what they'll do is they don't have a perfect knowledge of where you are. So let's say that I've got a guy inside this this hut here. They don't know that I'm in the hut. They just kind of know that I'm somewhere near the hut, and then they'll get closer and closer and closer, and eventually they'll find me in the hut. They kind of just search around the area and get in ever decreasing circles. So what that allows you to do as a mission maker is apply constant pressure without having to put down a whole bunch of additional assets or forces. If you have a squad of like 8 guys chasing a couple of guys who are just trying to do some kind of escape and evasion, then they're going to constantly follow them, not always know where they are. They're not going to be that kind of frustrating thing where you go and hide in a building, they just know you're there. But they are going to be looking for you and kind of be able to do the things that you can't really replicate in games. So they'll be able to hunt you down following a trail, perhaps, for example. And that's the kind of thing that it allows you to look at doing. So those are the lambs: task hunt, task creep, and task rush. What other ones can we use? Well, things like task patrol. You can see there again in the tooltip, randomized patrol waypoint completion radius, default 200 meters. So you can just put down a, where we've got here, our little guys going down on a patrol. You can see we've got one set up here where it's just on a patrol. And what I like about this one is the randomization to it. These guys will do that pattern kind of religiously, keep going round and round and round forevermore. These guys will randomize what they're doing throughout. So it allows you for a bit more realism, a bit more dynamic within there. That's about it in terms of the theory side and looking at chucking them down. As I said, I'm not going to go through all of these. You can jump in and have a look yourself. But if we jump in game now, we'll just see the waypoint system in action. Okay, and we can see the guys doing their thing. So our little chaps running into the vehicle, and they get, and then this one starts driving. Off he goes. We'll come back, catch up with them in a second. You can see these guys, they've gone on to their transition to their let's run really fast across the road phase. And what we've done by just being open fire rather than open fire keep formation is they get there, so they'll get across the road. They're not going to mess around or start going a lot slower because one of these people has messed up with the pathing of the AI. Okay, these chaps. So they're going to get to this one. We're going to do transport unload over here, which means essentially kick out other units rather than empty the vehicle of everybody. It's kick out if you've got extra units in there. We're going to see awesome AI drive over your muckers. There they go. Ugh. That's it. Make sure you grind them into the road, big lad. My goodness. Love AI pathing. But you know, he's still kind of okay-ish, maybe. Probably going to bleed out in a second now. But they get out. They're going to go and garrison that location there. And our little vehicle's going back. So that's kind of the system there. We can see these guys on their randomized patrol route. They're just kicking about doing their thing. And if we go over to here, and then a bit harsh, sorry fellas. We got fire team B. You can just go there.
Awaiting orders.
All kicking off. Let's go down to our little team over here. So we can see them to start to move. Blue 4 have been detected. Uh-oh, everybody runs, get onto the helicopter. Doing their thing. And all that's just been done is by synchronizing those activities. Go over here, it's a bit quieter. Synchronizing those activities with a trigger. That is it, guys. That is waypoints in 15 minutes or less. And today we talked about the very Billy Basics aspect of waypoints of just setting up like a patrol route. We had a little bit more complexity where you're integrating different waypoint systems or different waypoints together for different units and synchronizing their activities so that you can achieve an outcome where these guys are working together, if you will. We looked a little bit at lambs and the benefits of things like the task patrol, and then the task hunt, creep, and rush series. And we talked a little bit about the synchronization of activity using triggers, so where you've got to hold until a certain trigger, and then these guys will then skip that waypoint and start undertaking activity. Any questions for me, please leave them in the comments, and I'll do my best to get back to you. Thanks very much, and I'll see you on the next one. Take care.